Good afternoon, students. Welcome to your English online class of today. Good afternoon, all of you. I know you are rushing here from another class. So, today we will be discussing about what we were discussing yesterday. In continuation with the same lesson, we will be having discussion today also. Right? So, yesterday we came to know that there was a uh, boy who was very curious and adventurous, and he was naughty too. And in this story, we know him as Huck, and I told you his name is Huckleberry Finn, who is a main character in Tom Sawyer's The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. In that storybook, we can see Huckleberry Finn as a character of Mark Twain. Mark Twain has created these characters, right? So Huck is portrayed as a orphan boy who is a friend of Tom Sawyer, right? So these two mostly combinedly do most of the things which is described in the story. But this particular story, when it takes place, Huck was alone. He was not feeling sleepy, so he came out of his home and he was just on the street behind the inn. And he was just staring at the darkness. After some time, he thought of returning to his home. At that time, he heard the fainted sound of someone closing a door softly, and he could hear the fainted sound of footsteps coming down. So he understood that someone is coming out of the inn at that odd time. All the lights were off, and it was 11 o'clock. At that odd time, he understood that if the people are coming out of the inn, there may be some secret behind it. So he hid well in a hidden place and observed what these people are doing and who are they. So he saw two men coming out of the inn, and they just passed in front of him. And he noticed that one of the men was carrying a heavy box. Then he thought, oh, in this box there is treasure. Some valuable things are there. He thought they are thieves. So they have robbed it from someone and kept in the inn that till night that no one else should see it. And when it is night, he thought that they are going to take this treasure to some secret place where they can hide it. Later they can go and take it and use it. So he decided to follow these people to understand where they are keeping the treasure. So he understood that he has no time to tell it to Tom Sawyer. He has to do it all alone, right? Children, I am just doing a quick revision so that you will be in touch with what we were discussing yesterday. Okay, we can have a recollection of things. Okay. Okay. Now, then we know that he followed the men and from a safe distance, and he hid behind the trees or bushes from time to time, but he kept them on track. He was tracking them properly, and we understood that the two men walked beside a river, and what they did is, from a particular point or junction, they took a turn, and the next turn, from that turn, the road changes or the path changes towards a hill. So they started walking towards the hill, and Huck was surprised to see that they were taking a turn to the hilly area. So he quietly followed them, and he understood that they were going towards Widow Docla's house. And it was a moonless night where there was no light of moon even. So it supported Huck to hide and follow them. So they went near Widow Douglas' house, and they just stopped little far away from the house. And Huck also stopped watching them. The two men, they stood there and observed the house whether it is safe for them to go near the house. Huck was hiding just behind them at the back of a tree. He was hiding behind a tree which is just at the back of them. So he could hear anything which the men will speak. So one of the men said, "See, there are lights in the room. Somebody must be there with this lady, Widow Douglas." So the other one said that they cannot do anything particularly at that night. So he told his companion to drop the plan and return and leave the lady alone. Hearing this, the first person got very furious. He became very angry. He said that he's not at all going to forget what Widow Douglas' husband has done to, done to him. He said that Widow Douglas' husband sent him to the jail. He was the reason why he is in jail. So you can obviously understand, students, these are criminals. So the first person might have done something wrong and Widow Douglas' husband might have called the police. So he was in jail. But he is not able to identify or he is not able to accept that mistake from his side. He is finding blame only in Widow Douglas' husband. And actually he came out of the jail with a plan to kill Mr. Douglas as a revenge. And when he came out and inquired and searched for Mr. Douglas, he came to know that Mr. Douglas had passed away. He died. Then at least this man could have left the plan. But what he did is he was that cruel that he decided to kill Mrs. Douglas at least. He thought, okay, इसकी पति ने मेरे ऊपर इतना मुझे जेल में भेजा, इसकी पति, ठीक है, पति तो मर गया, ठीक है, तो इसको मैं मार डालूंगा. So he thought of taking revenge on Widow Douglas. He thought of killing her and take revenge. So he told his companion that he is going to kill Widow Douglas at any cost the same night. He said if his companion is not giving him company, then he will kill that man also. Okay, this is where we stopped yesterday. Right, children? So look here. There are lights in 3 rooms. Somebody must be there with her. So, in how many rooms could Red Joe see the lights? This is a question for you. Okay. In how many rooms there was light in Widow Douglas' house at that night? Or in how many rooms Red Joe could see light in Widow Douglas' house? Better instead of okay madam, yes madam, I want the answer. I want all of you to type the answer. Let me see how many of you are attending the class actually. In how many rooms could Red Joe, in how many rooms there was light in Widow Douglas' house at that night? Or in how many rooms did Red Joe see light in Widow Douglas' house? All of you should post the answer. In 3 rooms, right? So, Red Joe could see light in 3 rooms. So, he was angry. Okay, because their plot may change, right? Now, he says to his friend that he cannot forget it. Okay, he is going to do whatever he has come here, he will do it, he said. What was his plan? What was Red Joe's plan? What was the plan of Red Joe? This is what I asked you yesterday. And only few students could type the answer, right? So that I hope you have seen this particular PPT yesterday and you presentation yesterday, or you could have read your textbook and the answer is ready now. What was the plan of Red Joe? Red Joe is a criminal, right? He came out of jail. What was his plan? All of you type the answer. Let me see how many of you are attending properly. What was Red Joe's plan? Red Joe wants to, okay, okay, Prabhas. It is not Douglas, okay. Yes, he wants to kill Widow Douglas, right? He wants to kill Widow Douglas. And who has sent him to jail? According to Red Joe, who has sent him to jail? According to Red Joe, who has sent him to jail? Come on, type the answer first. Somebody wrote Widow Douglas' husband. Yes. Ayush Balki, why are you so late? Now it is 3:17. Huh? There is no network problem. You could be on time. Widow Douglas' husband, right? Widow Douglas' husband or Mr. Douglas, you can write. He was the reason, or he sent Mr. Radjo to the jail, according to Radjo's words. Okay. Now look here. There is somebody there. So by the time Radjo said that he is going to kill Widow Douglas at any cost at that night, the companion had a doubt, sixth sense, koi to hame dekh raha hai. So he had a doubt. So he said, there is somebody there. Red Joe was not listening. Okay. So this Red Joe was having that focus only in his mind that he wants to kill Widow Douglas. He was not at all bothered about anything. Nothing was disturbing him. But the companion was very alert, so he felt there is someone watching them. So he gave a warning to Red Joe. There is somebody there. Red Joe was not listening. He turned to his companion. You got to help me. If you don't, I will kill you too. Hurry up. Hurry up then. What are you waiting for? The other man said. So now the real cruelty of Rajo has come out. He said to his companion that he is going to kill Widow Douglas at any cost. And he threatened him. अगर तुम मुझे मदद नहीं करेंगे तुम्हें भी मार डालूंगा. If you don't help me, I will kill you too. This is what he said. Then the other man, he was not afraid. You can obviously understand that a criminal like Red Joe will have definitely friendship with another criminal. We can think a lot who may be that person. We can think that it was his jailmate, he also came out of jail, or it is his close friend or relative, whatever it may be, right? So we can understand that the other man is also not less than that of Red Joe. He also has a criminal background. So he says, hurry up, what are you waiting for? फिर तो जल्दी चलो ना. तो क्या देख रहे हो? किसके लिए राह देख रहे हो? Why are you waiting? Hurry up. What are you waiting for? और क्या राह देख रहे हो? You want to do it today? Then do fast. Why to waste time? This is what was his point. Now look here, children. I am waiting for the lights to go out. Rayar, there is light. We cannot go like that. This is what Red Joe said. Otherwise, people will see them. They will be caught. And Mrs. Douglas may see them. She may shout. People will come for her rescue. So he said, I'm waiting for the light to go out. पूरा लाइट बंद होने के लिए मैं वेट कर रहा हूँ. The two men were silent. फिर वो दोनों घर के तरफ देखे चुपचाप वहां अंधेरे में वेट किया. They stood there waiting for the lights to go out. What were the men waiting? Come on, children. What were the men waiting? I'm waiting for the lights to go out. The two men were silent. They stood there waiting for the lights to go out. What were the two men waiting? Come on, hurry up. I will be asking questions in between so that to ensure that you people are here only. See, I know 29 to 30 students are attending. Yes, 31 students are attending. So I want to see 31 responses. I could see only Sai Aditya's response now. To go out the light. What is this, Harsha Molchandani? Gaurav Chauhan wrote properly. For the lights to go out. What is this, Karthik Pimpalkar? Okay, madam. Anushka Nikade, okay, madam. I am asking you to type the answer. Lights to go out. It is not go. Okay. I am going to call the name of the students, those who are not posting the answer. All of you post the answer. He was waiting for the lights to go out. Okay. He was waiting for the lights to go out. Okay. It's not that light will walk and go out. Lights to go out means for the lights to be switched off by someone. Huck was very frightened when Huck came to know these are their plans. You know, Huck is a very small boy. He is of 10 to 11 years old. So when he know that they are going to murder Widow Douglas, this is their plan. And they are carrying some weapon in that heavy box. It's not that, it may be a gun, right? They are, maybe it's an axe, it's a dagger, whatever it may be, right? It's a weapon. It's not a treasure. He came to know now. So he was very frightened. उसको बहुत डर लगा. अगर ये लोग उसको देखा तो definitely उसको भी मार डालेंगे, no doubt, because he came to know about their plan. He crept away very quietly. He crept away from the scene quietly. They should not hear him. They should not see him moving, right? They should not hear the sound of the bushes. So he took care of his movement and the sound, and slowly, slowly he crept away from there. Crept means नीचे बैठ के धीरे धीरे धीरे. He didn't walk even. He crept on all fours and moved away from there. Then he began to run. When he reached sufficient far away from them, means when he moved away far away from there, from where they couldn't hear his footsteps, he started to run like anything. He ran fast till he came to a house. He ran very fast like a wind because he was so frightened. So frightened. He thought they are at the back of him. While he was running, what Huck thought is Red Joe and his companion is following him. So with that great fear, he ran very fast. And this was the house of Mr. Jones. So at last he reached in front of a house which became the house of, which was luckily the house of Mr. Jones, a brave and honest old man. Mr. Jones was a brave and very honest man, means he was a decent man. So now children, Pranali Bondi, you don't write this type of excuses, my dear, in between the classes. There was no network problem, everybody knows. Class is going on very smoothly. Coming at the end of the class for only attendance. So children, I am going to post the attendance link now. Those who are coming after this, no need to fill it, right? What do you say? So those who are here now, post the attendance. Last just 5 minutes in advance, 10 minutes in advance, some people rush. Take. All of you post your attendance. Okay. Tomorrow onwards, I will post the attendance just 10 minutes after the class. 10 minutes after the class. 10 मिनट हो जाते हैं तभी देंगे. Okay. After posting the attendance, stay back, because at the end I will take the screenshot how many students are there, how many are remaining. For that I will take a screenshot and see how many are staying. Okay, so now look here. Huck ran very fast and he reached in front of Mr. John's house. Okay. Okay. There Huck stopped. He knocked at the door. He knocked at the door. Let me in, please, please, let me in, he cried. So Huck, with all his fear, he reached in front of Mr. John's house and he started knocking on the windows so fastly, rapidly, and he started begging them to open the door. Let me in, please, please, let me in. Kolo, kolo, please, mujhe andar aane do. Okay, he started crying. What's the matter? The old man called from his bedroom window. So, Mr. Jones understood someone is shouting in front of his house. So he asked, what's the matter? Kya hua? Kaun hai wahan? He asked from his bedroom window. Then he came downstairs with his two strong sons. रात में 11 के बाद. Now you know Huck was chasing these people. He was following these people. So now it's almost 11:30 at night. It's not safe to come down all alone, right? So the man came down with his two strong sons. He called his sons and said, there is someone down. Come, let's see. So they all three came down. All three stood there in the doorway. He opened the door and blocked the door with his body, and beside him stood two of his strong sons. Okay. So on whose door Huck knocked at? Question is for you. Come on. On whose door did Huck knock? Come on, write the answer fast. On whose door did Huck knock? 32 students, now it is 26. That means 4 students, 6 students went. On who? Old man. What is the name of the old man, Ayush Barai? On whose door did Huck knock? Ayush saw it is Mr. What is the name of that Mr.? He knocked at Mr. John's door. And Mr. John came down with his two sons and stood there. Why, it's Huckleberry Finn, the old man said. Please let me in, Huck begged. Something terrible is going to happen. Come in and tell us. Huck went inside and told his story. Oh, ये तो Huckleberry Finn है ना? अरे बेटे क्या हुआ? He asked. Because the men and the people in that area, everybody knows Huck, Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer and all these kids. Right. So when he looked at the person who is crying out of his house, he was surprised to see at night this boy is standing. Right. He said, why? It's Huckleberry Finn. Beta abhi ye raat mein kya kar rahe ho? Then he said, please let me in. Something terrible is going to happen. Uncle, मुझे please अंदर आने दो. कुछ बहुत बुरा होने वाला है. So he was surprised. He said, come in, आइए, and tell us, बोलिए क्या होने का है? Please tell us what is going to happen. Huck went inside and told his story. Huck फट से घर के अंदर चले गया. फिर उन्होंने अपनी कहानी ये लोगों से बताया. He told what is going to happen because he needed the help from somebody. 2 minutes later, Mr. Jones and his two sons, strong sons, were running towards Widow Douglas' house. Each of them was carrying a gun. Huck did not go with them. He hid himself and waited. Suddenly, he heard a shot. They were shooting. Huck jumped up from his hiding place. Arey baapre. Now you see, only after 2 minutes, Huck could see Mr. Jones and his sons were running towards Widow Douglas' house to save her because they are the neighbors of Widow Douglas, right? They have to save her. So, and they are relatives too, okay? And when you read Tom Sawyer's Adventures of Tom Sawyer, you will come to know they are relatives too. So, what they did is, immediately when they came to know that there are two people going to shoot and kill Widow Douglas at night, Mr. Jones and his sons returned to their room immediately and changed their night wears and took their gun. It all, they did everything very fast. Within 2 minutes, they rushed out of their house and ran towards Widow Douglas' house because they don't want to be late. They don't want to reach there after her death. Now, each of them were carrying a gun, means both the sons were carrying one gun and Mr. Jones was carrying a third one. Huck did not go with them. Huck was not having the guts to go with them now. He hid himself in his house and for waited for them to return. Suddenly he heard a shot. Oh, after as soon as they ran, and within a short while he could hear the sound of a shot. Means somebody has a shot someone. Te te, he could hear the sound. Right? That means either his son or Mr. Jones has shot someone. They were shooting. हाँ, वहाँ shooting चल रहा है. Who is somebody is shooting someone. It's not the film shooting with the camera, it is the shooting with a gun, right? Huck jumped up from his hiding place. हक को इतना डर लगा रे बाप रे शूटिंग चल रहा है अभी कौन मरा है कौन कौन गिरा है क्या पता है. So Huck jumped up from his hiding place because of fear. वो बैठ नहीं पाया. He was so worried, he was so tensed. Okay, next question for you. What were Mr. Jones and his sons carrying with them? What were Mr. Jones and his sons carrying with them when they ran towards Widow Douglas' house? What were Mr. Jones and his sons carrying when they ran towards Widow Douglas' house? How many guns did they carry? A gun per person. One gun per person. Totally 3 guns. Okay. Now, look at the next sentence. What has happened there? He ran away as fast as he could. Who ran away, children? He ran away as fast as he could. यहाँ किसके बारे में बोल रहे हो? Someone is entering into our class. He ran away as fast as he could. Okay. Who ran away? I asked you. What do you think? Who ran away? Is it Mr. Jones or is it Mr. Jones' sons? Or is it someone else? Who ran away? Yes, you are writing Huck. That's the correct answer, but H should be capital. The name of a boy, right? So Huck ran away as fast as he could because he don't know who died and who didn't die. Whether Red Joe won, Red Joe will come here to catch him or not. He don't know, right? And very early the next morning, Huck was again knocking at Mr. John's door. So he ran back to his house and he slept the whole night. But the very next morning, because he don't know what has happened, so he couldn't sit there because of his curiosity. So very next morning, he went back to Mr. John's house and he knocked at the door. Now, come in, my boy, come in. The old man said very kindly, you are a brave fellow, Huck. You will always be welcome here. Come in and have some breakfast with us. So Mr. Jones was very happy to see Huck early morning at his doorstep. He said, Huck, whoa, it's you. Come on, Betty. You come in. You are a brave fellow. You are always welcome here. Come, have breakfast with us. That means he said, Huck, आप कितना हिम्मत है तुम्हें? हाँ? रात में ऐसे क्रिमिनल्स को देखा है फिर भी भागा नहीं हमें आके बोला सही चीज किया. ओके कम ऑन आपके जैसे लोगों को हमेशा हमारा घर पे स्वागत है आइए. Then he said, to invited him to have breakfast with them. That itself is a recognition for his bravery, right? So Huck was very happy to see the warm welcome extended to him by Mr. Jones. Huck sat down at the table, but he could not eat anything. You look ill, Huck, said Mr. Jones. Drink this cup of tea. Then the old man told Huck what had happened the previous night. We weren't able to catch them, he said. But one of them was wounded. He can't be far away. So now, why Huck has come, Mr. Jones also know. Mr. Jones, when he returned to his home, he and his sons found Huck was not there. Right? They understood that he went back to his home. He may be afraid. So now he know why Huck has reached there. He know that Huck wants to know what has happened. So he slowly by slowly started telling what has happened to Huck. And Huck was not able to eat or drink anything because he was too curious to know the things, and also the fear hasn't gone from him. Right? So Mr. Jones told him, Arey bete, you look up, both beemar dikh rahe, you are looking ill. Drink this cup of tea. He has taken a cup of tea and given to Huck, and he said, you drink. ये चाय पियो सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा. Then he started telling what has happened. When Huck started sipping the tea, then felt a little relaxed. Then he told that they couldn't catch any of the men. He said that we weren't able to catch them. He said they were not able to catch them. But one of them was wounded. He can't be far away. But even though they couldn't catch, they shot one of the men. So both the men, they were about to attack Widow Douglas, but they reached on the correct time and they could shoot one of the men and both of them ran away. Okay, so they couldn't catch any, but one got wounded. They could shoot one of the men. He may be having bullet on his leg or hand somewhere. So he says that he can't be far away. जिसको शूटिंग मिला है, जिसको वो लोग शूट किया है, वो ज़्यादा दूर नहीं जा पाएगा. He said that he can't go far away because he is wounded. His blood will be oozing out and it will be very painful. So he says that he can't be far away. We have told the men in the village they are going to search in the woods for these criminals. Can you tell me what they look like? Well, said Huck slowly, one of them is that Spaniard. You have seen him about the village. So the old man said that he told the villagers, ऐसे हुआ है. So the villagers are going to search for these criminals in the woods, in the forest, and they are going to catch them. Then he asked him, can he recollect how they look like? Could he recognize them? So Huck started telling that one of them is the Spaniard who was roaming around their villages for a few days. Okay, with this I am ending today's class. I know you have another class, students. So all of you join the other class. Tomorrow we will meet again at the same time. Okay, so join the class tomorrow. Take care. Be safe, kids. All of you join tomorrow also. Okay, right. I'm very happy to see the good number of students.